Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. This week we're going to be moving Mike's S14 a little bit farther down the road to making it the Letty tribute car it's going to be, in that we're going to attempt to finish the Kouki conversion. For those of you that have been watching the channel, you know that Mike picked up this car and it was in a bit of rough shape, with the idea that we were going to basically make it a modern tribute car to Letty's car from the first Fast and Furious. Now, last week we did start that by basically doing the rear end. Mike actually ordered up a JDM version of the Kouki rear bumper, which is apparently a little bit different from the US spec, as well as we installed the Kouki taillights. So that part of the car is actually done. Today we're going to turn our attention to the front. Now this is where there's going to be the biggest change in the aesthetics of the car. Now this is currently a Zenki S14, and it has a little bit more tame of a front end. In about, I think it was 97, they did a slight change on the front end of the S14, which became the Kouki, and it's got a little bit more of aggressive front end, which more importantly is what Letty had in the first Fast and Furious movie, so which is why we have to do that conversion before we start adding the body kit and the paint and the graphics. Just to give you a heads up, we will be attempting to do this all in one day, but because we're doing fenders, we're doing the hood, we're doing the front bumper, and we're even doing the radiator support. Now when you do the Kouki conversion on an S14, you basically have two options. You could either modify the current radiator support to basically accept the Kouki headlights because they're slightly different, or you can do it, in my opinion, which is the right way, which is flat out order up the entire Kouki radiator support, which is what we've done, and we're going to be installing that today. However, two things before we get started. One, if you'd like to see more automotive, particularly GTR and now S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And two, if you'd like to support the channel, I do have the JD Archer shop. If you go to jdarcher.bigcartel.com, you can see a limited selection of t-shirts I've designed that are for sale. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to work and make this car look a little bit more Fast and Furious. The first thing I want to do before we start digging into Mike's car here is run you through all of basically the tools and products you're going to need to get this job done. This is something I do in almost all of my videos where I show you how to work on any car, because I never want you to find yourself in a situation where you're taking the whole front of your car apart and realize that there's a tool or a part you need, and then all of a sudden you're calling up all of your buddies looking for an emergency ride to Lowe's or Pep Boys or whatever to get whatever you need to finish the job. I'm also going to put a list in the description down below of all of the products used in this video. That way, if you see something you need, you can just click on the link and it'll take you exactly where you need to go to get that particular tool or part or whatever it is you're looking for. So in this particular project, you're not going to need much in the way of tools. In fact, pretty much just your standard toolkit will get you through. Now, those of you who've been following the channel for a while, you know I like Craftsman. They got that whole no questions asked tool replacement program that I've definitely used. The other thing you're probably going to need that you might not have in your kit is a drill. The reason why is with the radiator support that I talked about earlier, it is tack welded into the car, and you're going to need to drill out those tack welds. As a little bit of a note, you can just use a standard drill bit to do that, or if you want to invest, there are special drill bits just for taking out tack welds, that way you don't drill too far through the body. But we don't have that, so you're going to see us use just a normal drill bit to get this done. But other than that, that's pretty much all you're going to need, aside from the fenders, the hood, the bumper, the grille, and the headlights, which we all have, and of course the radiator support. So now that we're basically ready to get going, let's start tearing Mike's car apart.
Ready to start it? Hold on. Engagement. Got it. Right now we're taking off the grill, which is held on purely by zip ties, because it's JDM. Damn right. Long story, but you'll probably see something about it. So put these bolts over here with the start removing some of these bolts holding the fender on.
All right, so interesting thing about these headlights is how they come out. Now to get these headlights out, you're going to need to take off the side marker first. Now the interesting thing about the side marker is it is actually clipped in, but it's actually clipped in to the headlights. So there's a little kind of nub right here, and it goes into the little cup right here. So basically what you're going to need to do is leverage to basically pop this out. It's gonna be scary. It's gonna look like things are gonna break, but other than that, it's not bolted in. It's just basically that nub in that cup. Once you get that out, that's where these two bolts, you're gonna see through the body this way. So you can't get this headlight out unless you take the side marker off first. The other two bolts basically are very visible and easy to get out, but that's the trick for getting the headlights off. All right, now that the headlights are out of the way, I think I'm gonna start in on the front bumper. Mike's already started in on taking off the fenders. Oh, we still have this hardware left over from the headlight. There we go. Okay. All right. All right, so you're probably going to need to get this in the air. Bummer. The one thing I was trying to avoid we're going to have to do anyways, and that is basically get the car in the air. Now, I heavily thought that this was something we're gonna have to do because usually there's some bolts hidden, but I thought, maybe we get lucky, and because, it looks like everything was pretty visible, we'd be able to get by without getting the car in the air. But yeah, there's a bolt basically hidden right here, same on the other side, of course, and this tire, because the suspension is just set so low, is just right in the way. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the car in the air, we're gonna take the wheels off, and that should just give us all the freedom we need to basically finish this job.
Hugging pretty good.
Little interruption. Basically, Mike got the fender off, as you can see, and we're pretty much ready to go on that. We're actually gonna fix something that has pretty much bothered me about this car since Mike got it, and that is this driver door right here. Now, we already have the fender off so you can't see, but it was right up against that fender. And then over here, there's a huge gap, which means that this door was not aligned properly. Plus, this one suffers from the problem that just about every S14 deals with, where the door, when you open it, kind of sags down. The reason why is the door is fairly long and heavy, so over time it does. It sags down, makes it a pain to open and close the door. So we're gonna take a few minutes here, loosen up these bolts, because now that the fender's out of the way, it's even easier. You can do it with the fender on, it's just a bigger pain in the ass. But see if we can't get this door better aligned so when Mike's getting in and out of the car, he doesn't have to slam the door as much.
Alright, they're not super tight, but they're tight enough.
Definitely close is easier, but the gap is still bad. But look at that.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Just temporarily sit this back where it was and we can see what the gap looks like.
Okay, we definitely got more gap here. Same gap.
Yeah. In fact, less. Yeah, you didn't do basically what we're trying to do, which is put a door on and adjust and make sure they probably just threw it on there and dealt with the fact that it wasn't lined up correctly. Or it could be a door for the wrong type. I don't know. I guess we'll find out when we put the Kouki fender on. This one was tan and it didn't fit. Speed. Stretched around it. Oh God, crash bar removed. All right, so this obviously won't sit straight on there, but it's gonna go on like this. Just kind of curious as to where.
Just for a reference, there is a bolt on these fenders that's way back in there. You're gonna need a decent size extension. I typically have one, but it's left that part of my kit at home, so we jury rigged a longer extension. So let's make sure you have a good extension when getting that last bolt out. Yeah, so that optional work we were talking about doing to align the door, well, we did get the door aligned better where it opens and closes, but it still feels like it's a little bit far forward. We thought we'd just kind of leave it alone until we either got like some new hinges or just whole new doors. But we ran into an issue when we mocked up the Kouki fender here. Pretty much the holes are a little bit different and it's pushing right up against this door to the point that it's no longer an option. Given the fact that we don't actually have new hinges that we can put on there, what we're going to do is we're going to modify the current hinges. We're going to basically use a drill to kind of make these holes bigger, and then that way hopefully it'll give us the space we need to shove the door more towards the rear, close up this gap, and fix the panel gap between the door and the fender here. And hopefully then everything will be aligned up, and then we can start turning our attention to the radiator support.
Correct? Yeah, probably more space. But to get our goal today. Small one.
A little bit of an update on the door project as I realized I was being a bit of a dumbass. I was working way harder than I needed to do. Basically what we were trying to do was use a drill to take the holes on these hinges and basically oblong them to give us more space to try and slide the door into its proper position, and then that way it'll properly clear the Kouki fenders. Unfortunately, the drill that we have is getting a little old and is kind of running out of life, and this steel is actually pretty good steel, which is a good thing. But then I realized the previous owner had basically put some fender washers on that fender for some reason to get it to line up properly, which is a whole nother issue I'm sure we'll deal with in a little bit. But that gives me some extra fender washers. And if I basically take the hinge off of the door, I can put the fender washers here, which should move the door a little bit more this way and hopefully align properly. Now, is that really the proper way to do it? No, but let's be honest, it's an S14. It's kind of keeping with the heart and spirit of how S14s are built. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use some fender washers. Mike also has some aluminum rebar we're gonna basically cut and drill to act as more spacers to try and move this door into its proper position. Now, like I said, not really the proper way to do it. I'm sure in the future Mike will get some better hinges and we'll do it the right way. But for right now, we're just trying to get this car to look good and get the entire Kouki conversion done.
Washers in the making. Let me bring all of you back over to where our boy JD is. And he is further breaking the front of my car. He's finding more bolts to break. Told you. We could not have planned that. Did it really just break? Yeah. Oh, so the bolt didn't break. The support broke.
Correct.
All the more reason to replace the whole thing.
All right, so we pretty much completed making our spacers. As you can see, we pretty much drilled a hole straight through, cut the aluminum, so it gives us a little bit more thickness. It's actually a pretty thick piece of aluminum. So once we get this on, we're gonna do basically 2 per bolt. It should push the door far enough towards the back of the car that it will line properly, or at least we'll push it back enough that it'll clear the Kouki fender.
Treat it like a gasket.
All right, so Mike had to head into his apartment real quick, take care of something, so I'm gonna try and finish up this door while he's down there. So as you can see, if you got 2 people, it's a very easy job to do. One person pretty much lifts up on the door while the other one locks it down. If, however, you're in a situation where you're the only person working on the car, the one thing you can do to substitute is have a jack. So I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna open the door a little bit, use the jack to jack it up, tighten it down, see how the door opens and closes. Oh, that was just magic. Oh my God, that door's closed so... Oh, it's almost no effort. Before, the door you had to kind of slam or kind of lift up and slam, but now it's in there. And look at this body gap, way better. So that should fix our issue with the fender, I hope. So let's give that a quick test run. Looks like maybe we went just a little too far. All right, so I did say at the beginning of the video, this might be a two-parter, and it's gonna turn into a two-party. I'm sorry about that. Basically what happened was we were working on getting the core radiator support out. We were working on basically taking care of all of the tack welds, and there's a lot more of them than we thought. We were battling a drill that was pretty much at its end of life, and it gave up the ghost on us, which means we can't finish basically taking care of the tack welds, and we're pretty much stuck until we get a new drill. But I guess that means that there's gonna be one more video on this. We'll basically run you through it. I know that the camera's also lost battery, so you didn't see a lot of us basically working through the tack welds. Pretty much what we're doing is we're just drilling them out to the point that we're trying not to go through the body, and then we try to pry it off with a screwdriver. I know, not exactly the best way to do it. I'm sure there's more professional way to do it. We're just not professional body guys. I'm more of a basically an interior and engine guy. Mike is about the same. So yeah, we are a little bit of yahoos when it comes to actual body work, but we're trying to do our best to do it the right way. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go hit that thumbs up button to let me know. It does help the channel out a lot. As I did say at the beginning of the video, if you'd like to see more automotive, particularly GTR and of course S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on all forms of social media, which include Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. There'll be links to all those in the description down below. Now, if you've watched this video and you've gotten to at least this part and you have any questions, you're feeling I've missed, or was there a better way to go about doing this, go ahead and post in the comment section down below. I will respond to you. I thank you all for watching, and until next time, forget everything else, focus on the finish line.